colleagues can answer that question, I hope. The answer is amend the Constitution. You want to amend the Constitution because 90% of people think something ought to be done? Amend it. No problem. Then we can have debate over whether or not it should be amended. But the fact that there are public opinion polls suggesting support for this, that, or the other violation of your fundamental rights is why people like me are prepared to stand up and tell you, as Professor Schoenfeld was prepared to stand up and tell the court that they were wrong. I'm perfectly happy to tell 90% of the American public that they're wrong too. But if you want to change it, amend the Constitution. You can't do it legislatively, and you can't do it by willing it or hoping.
No, the young man realized he had a question for Professor Petrarca. Do you have a question for Professor Schoenfeld? Yeah. Anybody have a question for Professor Schoenfeld?
I'll ask a question.
Please.
Right, Professor, you said that my right to swing my fist ends at your nose, which I completely agree. So when somebody does start swinging his or her fist around my nose, or hits my nose, what do I do to stop that? What do I do to stop?
Again, in a well-regulated society in which freedoms are defended, that is the role of the state. We start having vigilante justice when someone infringes on my rights and it becomes my responsibility to correct them. Part of the problem with the way in which we've evolved as a society is, you listen to Professor Petrarca and this issue, and what underlies it is a sense of lack of trust in the state. Now, he argues the gun right is a very fundamental right, and how it's going to protect all the others. I think that would have been a view that was useful to share with Japanese Americans who were taken off to internment camps in the 1940s, and to inform them how their right to own guns enabled them to protect themselves and all their other liberties, because clearly it existed then, and so it was this basic fundamental right. In fact, Justice Clarence Thomas, in his argument for the majority decision, these things make me very nervous. I should point out, interesting enough, it's against the law for anyone except ECI police to have a firearm on campus.
Yes,
And by the end of the debate, Professor Petrarca will be taken away. By a combined police and mental health force. So don't worry, he will be under medical care. So that notion, again, is an in-principle notion. The United Kingdom is surely, well, factually, the longest established democratic society. They've done reasonably well over time. They've actually probably, during the period of time we've been around, their record on things like civil rights and stuff has nothing to envy from the United States. I mean, how do they do it without guns? And if they can do it, why can't we do it? And I do return to a point I made before. Read that Second Amendment. I defy you to come up with an English language understanding that that means everybody has their own guns. And that the Supreme Court had interpreted that way in a 5-4 decision only means that as the Supreme Court has in the past made mistakes, maybe this was a mistake too. I mean, just like our founding fathers. I mean, our founding fathers who we fluctuate between worshiping and praying to, I mean, they were the people in the Constitution that decided that African Americans were part people. I mean, they did make some mistakes. They may have done a lot of things right, but they did make some mistakes. If they made some mistakes, so can those 9 human beings sitting on the Supreme Court today.